Welcome to another edition of A Step Beyond, the program that helps ordinary people like you and me get out of their comfort zone and be something and do something that is exciting, satisfying, and memorable. I promise you something that will change your entire life onwards. I'm your host, Vinod Maverick Call. Now look back to your childhood. Weren't we all collectors at some time or the other? The most common was stamp collecting and coin collecting. I had it. A childhood friend of mine wowed us with his model car collection, carefully displayed on shelves and covering an entire wall of his room. But then we all grew up and passed our collections to the next generations, or some of us forgot about it and left it in the attic. It was all a ritual of growing up. But was it? Now meet Dr. Aditya Vij, who doesn't quite fit that mold. After a gap of 20 years, he rekindled that childhood fantasy and started collecting again, and collecting just about anything: typewriters, tin boxes, heritage motor cars. And yes, he has a collection of 22,000 matchboxes. You have the picture now. So over to Dr. Vij in New Delhi, India, and the world of the unflagging collector.
Yes, I collect matchboxes and I have about 22,000 different matchboxes in my collection. Maybe a lot of people do not even know that it is a very recognized hobby called philonomy. In India, of course, there are certain people who do that, but internationally, it is a great hobby. And countries like UK, US have registered bodies for matchbox collectors and writing the history. So, matchbox, though it may appear to be a very small component, has shaped the world history to a great extent. It has played a very major role in every era that it has existed. The history of Matchbox perhaps goes back to about 220 odd years. And in Indian context, it has had a very, very huge role. And it is a piece of art. If you actually look at a matchbox, every matchbox has a component of designing, a component of very unique features that it carries. It actually showcases the era that we live in every time that you look at a matchbox.
Can you show us the range
Of course, I can take you there. This is not the place where I have the matchbox collections, but I can take you to both the places where the matchbox collections are there. This is what 22,000 different matchboxes look like. You may not find it too big as such because most of them are in files. When I say most of them are in files, these are matchbox labels which I have cut out or were already in the label form, and I have made albums out of them. So I have a good 30-40 albums of the matchbox labels which are there. Other than that, all these cartons filled are of matchboxes which are there. Just to give you a quick idea of how it started and how it is as of today and what I do, let me show you the album that I had when I was an 8-year-old kid. I've still managed to safeguard it. It is still there. And that is what keeps me going till date. So this is an album which has come down the ages with me, and is where it is still my school album when I was in class 2. And this is where I used to put together all the matchboxes, cut them out, categorize them. Now, if you see this page, if you could have zoomed in, you would have seen this is on animals. Then I have one on birds. Then I have the other ones on transportation. Then I have flowers. And I have different categories, numbers, or historical monuments.
Dr. Vij, what kept you going? A lot of people start with collections, but stamps and coins, but then they go on. You have continued in adulthood.
See, what is the biggest driving force which has been is, of course, I also gave up for almost about 20 or 18 or 20 years. I also didn't do it. I got back to it, and I got back to it when my daughter was like, when she was young, she asked me one day, why did you stop? You should have continued with collecting and putting information together. That's what got me back. And I then started realizing that every passing day or every passing year, we're losing so much of information, because every matchbox is a piece of information. It
And
carries so much
culture also.
culture. It showcases, for example, let me show you this. If you see this, this is a Air India matchbox, which, when there were eras when you could smoke in the aircrafts, 1970s. So these were the matchboxes issued by Air India where you could smoke into the aircraft. Look at this matchbox here, a Concorde matchbox. So you could actually smoke in the Concorde aircraft, and you could also keep it as a memorabilia. So you had there, and then you have matchboxes which belong to all the hotels which have long disappeared, and they're all hotels matchboxes. There are matchboxes of banks. Look at this, the Grindlays Bank wildlife category matchbox. So you have a matchbox showcasing era altogether. I have matchboxes now in my collection which are 130 years old. And if you look at them, they are a piece of art. Most of them depict religious aspects and cultural aspects. They showcase, maybe if I look at Lord Shiva or I look at Lord Rama and I see matchboxes of that era from that time, they had a total different depiction. I'll run you through the history of matchboxes maybe in a minute or two, where you will realize that what role it has played in India. Just to give you one more insight, can you imagine a matchbox being critical for a king for marketing himself and for survival? But that is how it used to be. So I'll maybe share some interesting stories as we move on to the next point.
How do you sort all these out?
I try and put the more contemporary ones separately. If I lay hands on the vintage ones, I put them separately. I keep the ones which are the giftable sets which used to be there, because you'll be surprised. Only till about 40 years back, people used to carry a gift to somebody's house as a matchbox set. Let me show you some which are there. For example, look at this. This was a matchbox gift set which people would carry if they were visiting me in that time to come to my house. We carry sweets now. People used to matchbox gift sets. So there are a lot of sets. Like you see, this is a set of a matchbox which is there. It has different symbols, and this is by Grindlays Bank, showcases the history of money. So similarly, there are a lot of other ones which are there which showcase different aspects. This, for example, is a gift set which is showcasing all the zodiac signs. So people would come in with this as a gift set. What you see here perhaps is a metallic box for you, but it is not. It is actually a matchbox cover. And when we say it was a matchbox cover, it is something which was meant for protection of the matchboxes. Now, see this. This is a matchbox which I wanted to protect so that it doesn't get crushed, it doesn't get wet. So I had these matchbox covers which were there. I receive matchboxes in these sacks from places, and then I take them out. I go one by one with them. I keep sorting out each one of them, placing them which is not there with me. This is how it is then laid out. Each different one gets in here. I verify if there are any duplicates, and then they become a part of the 22,000 and ever growing collection. See, matchboxes, as I said, are about 220-year history. Matchboxes are. They started in early 1806 with experimentation of phosphorus sticks. By the time it came to 1850s, matchboxes had become a commercial product. US took the lead, and the diamond match factory, the world-renowned diamond match factory, started manufacturing. Then Sweden took over, and then Japan became another center for manufacturing of matchboxes. UK started trading matchboxes in a big way, and matchbox industry actually made waves in the 1860s to 1890s. In India, matchbox industry had to come. We were a part of the British Empire. So in 1890s, the first Indian matchbox factory started taking shape. So we had in 1890s two matchbox factories, the Amrit matchbox factory and the Islam matchbox factory. in Gujarat which started to manufacture there.
I have a couple of questions. What are the challenges of becoming a collector?
See, you have to do it with a lot of patience and with a lot of passion. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. Today, try walking out and collecting. Maybe you will stop after collecting 20 matchboxes. So it has to be an ongoing pursuit. It has to be something that has to keep you going, and you have to keep going to make it worthwhile.
So, what is your advice to our audience? Should they pursue some as a collector?
Guys, all of us live a normal life. It is always exciting to add on more interesting components to it. This is one of them. I put together about 23 different categories. Matchbox is one of them. So it keeps me challenging myself every day of my life. So you have to try doing that. It makes life a lot more worthwhile.
Hey, audience, you just heard that. You heard Dr. Vij. Do you have a passion? What are you doing about it? Get off your backside and do something which is exciting.